situated up here. My name is Nick. I'm Attic. Oh man, I ain't nervous. I'm excited, right? And you know what, man? Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming down and speaking. Mark did like the kind of thing, and you know, I just want to have like a quick moment of silence. We lost a real long time member in San Diego last week, and we have a lot of people sick down in San Diego right now. And I lost a family member. We're just like losing a lot of people down in San Diego. So I just wanted to do like a moment of silence for all these members and loved ones that are in pain and suffering, and also for the addict who's still suffering out there right now, that's using and has no hope and hasn't even had a chance to hear our message. Okay, cool. So, like I said, my name is Nick. I'm Attic. And man, I'm really grateful to be able to have this opportunity to carry a message. You know, it's like a responsibility when I'm up here on the podium to carry a message in Narcotics Anonymous. And Daniel, welcome home, man. Welcome to NA. You ain't got to use again, no matter what. And I found that true for me. You know, no matter what, I haven't had to pick up, and I'm coming up on 3 years right now. You know. And it hasn't all been easy. I ain't gonna lie and say that, you know, I got clean and life just kind of like folded over and all these doors just open. And I've had a lot of struggles. I've had a lot of hard times, but I've stayed clean through them, like losing all these loved ones and stuff like that. We stay clean together. The we in Narcotics Anonymous is I'm not doing this alone. You know, I ain't up here alone. I got friends in here. I got friends all around the world because this is a worldwide fellowship, man. And the unity, our unity in Narcotics Anonymous helps keep me clean, and I feel the power of the spirit, man, and it just gives me a drive, man, and it's just like, it's beautiful because when I was out there, before I even started using, man, back as a little kid, man, I'm gonna start way back, man, when I was a little kid, man, I never felt connected to nothing. I was like always, I don't remember being a little kid ever being happy. You know, I remember maybe being in Orange County and going to Disneyland and not even being happy. So, you know what I mean? Something was missing as a little kid, man. And I picked up real young. I was, you know, still in like elementary school. You know, I watch the family. You know, I'm Italian, right? And, you know, fucking drinking wine. Okay, that's the only, I ain't gonna cuss, but you know what? I watched the people drinking wine, and they became outgoing, and they're laughing, and they're hugging, and you know what? They're drinking the wine. I said, man, I was a little kid, this tall, wanting that, you know, and that's where it all began. It started there, and I just ran with it, man, and I ain't gonna do the whole drug log, but that's just where it started, because I've always been looking for something on the outside to make me feel whole inside. Even when I was a little kid, I couldn't even comprehend that concept, and even clean. You know, Mark was sharing a lot about this, about relapse and recovery last night, and just still always looking for something on the outside to shove in me clean to make me feel different. And it doesn't work, because I got a God-sized hole in here, and only the love of God is what's ever made me happy and content in my life. And I've got that through working the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous with a sponsor and doing service work and practicing these principles in all my affairs. Not just when it's convenient, not just when I'm up here on the podium and, hey, Kevin, I got the book and I'm going like this and we're just doing it, right? And it's when nobody's looking, when nobody's around and nobody knows I'm a member. That's when it's like, this shit should not just be, you know, so I could come up here and talk good and, you know, go to meetings and share and say all this wonderful stuff. It's about in life with my family and with at my job site. I became a responsible, productive member of society, coming from this young kid who was lost, who thought I'm a legend in my own mind. You know, it's like I could just like say all these grand war stories and try to like make myself, you know, I when I was out there using, I thought I was the bomb, I thought I was the man, I thought I had control, but it was all just the illusion of the disease, man. And I just like thought, it's like if I were to tell like my vision of myself using, you know, why I was using, I was like a combination. You ever see Scarface and Goodfellas? You seen the gist of what I believed I was like, which is, you know, I was nothing. I was just a scared kid, man. I had to put on this. Mark was talking about the mask last night. I identified, man. I identified with the mask because I had to put on that mask that I was selling dope and I was the man and I controlled this and I ran this and, you know, all this stuff, trying to control and try to not you guys, everybody out there using that. I was really scared and I was in a lot of pain out there using, and I just didn't know I was in that vicious cycle of using, where I was always, I thought using was going to make me feel better, but it brought a rise to as I used, it brought a rise to my original problem, and that got worse. So I'm just crazy. It's crazy. The insanity and insidiousness of the disease. And it just, I ain't got to live like that today. And it's such a miracle, man. It's like one thing I really take for granted is going to my house and going to bed at night. And, after a nice 10, 15 minutes of meditation, just being at peace and in harmony and going to bed and not turning and tossing and turning. And I remember, man, every night when I was out there using, man, if I was in bed, just listening, that paranoia, listening for the door to go boom off the hinges, just waiting for them to kick in my door, come get me. I knew it was coming. It was inevitable. It's the peace of mind is what my higher power really wants from me, is to live with peace of mind and live these principles. And so I don't know. I really want to speak on the steps because that's what's big on my recovery, man. I got the double stack, man. I represent it, right? I work the steps, man, and I live these steps more importantly because it's what works for me. I found such good freedom and love and all this stuff in Narcotics Anonymous. It's by taking part in my recovery, NAYC, doing service work, going to meetings, reaching out to people, calling people, going to NA events, practicing these principles in all my affairs, hanging out, the meeting after the meeting, then the other meeting after the meeting, then you're on the phone for another hour after the meeting. We're just plugged in, So I got a NA sponsor, he's a real good guy, man. And sometimes I'd like to say, it's like I really just want to give him the finger, punch him, but it's like it's like the truth hurts sometimes. And I like that tough love because I don't want you to kiss my butt back to using. You know what I mean? Don't come up here and co-sign my stuff. When my butt's falling off, you better tell me. You know what? It's like I don't want you to just say, okay, okie doke. I don't have that okie doke recovery, man. Kevin's in my support group, man. We keep it real. We ain't placating nobody because this is life and death for me, man. If I go out there using, it's life and death issue for me. That's why I take this so seriously, and I got a passion for this thing because it's like if I'm not here all in, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know jails, institutions of death, and they don't always go in that order. And it's like so many addicts. We're so grateful, so blessed on a Saturday. NA has its own room. We can meet here, addicts meeting here, sharing and caring the NA way, and we're not using right now. We all got this beautiful moment together. And in the past, man, there's people out there in pain, suffering out there using, not even knowing that there's Narcotics Anonymous. I was using, I had no idea about NA. And when I came to NA, I didn't like it. I really hated it. I thought everybody was crazy, all this stuff. I didn't get it. I didn't get it like the 90-day wonder. I didn't get everything. I was in a treatment facility using. They used to have to drag me out of the rehab van. They literally pull me out and oh man, just fighting it and just, eventually I kept coming, keep coming back, not on my own free will, right? But the miracle happened, needless to say, because I followed the suggestions like I was talking about. I got involved, and it's all been history. So really what really got me here, I got clean when I just turned 19, and I was when I was 18 years old, man, I went down for cocaine sales down in San Diego. I was looking at some prison time, and it was no joke. Just like I'm saying, my recovery ain't no joke. That was no joke. Look, being 18 years old, standing in court, looking at this whole all these pages of stuff, minimum 5-year sentence, 8 years, just looking at this. I'm like 18. I believe that lie. Once an addict, always an addict. You know what? That we will no longer tolerate that because recovery is available, man. I believed that. I said I was 18 years old. I thought I was destined to die in prison or on the streets or in some Scarface, you know what I'm saying, where we're shooting everybody. But that was delusion. That's delusion. You know what I'm saying? That was delusion. Like I'd get a glorious death. I saw this. Nah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Never give. Never surrender. You know what I mean? But I believed that. I believed that, man. And it was just like, at 18 years old, I said, my life is over. And I see the members in Narcotics Anonymous saying, man, I've been where you've been. Look where I'm at now. And life is good. And then I said, well, that shit ain't going to work for me. You know, that's the first thing I said. It could work for you because nothing ever goes my way. And I kept coming, and the miracle happened, man. And, so, you know, events led to another events. You know, I was 18. I just had my juvenile record expunged. The district attorney in San Diego was my next door neighbor growing up. So I don't know if she like kind of remembered that I was that little kid that was running around, you know, drinking, but she didn't know. But I got loved. You know, something out there gave me the opportunity to get recovery before I had to go to prison. You know, and I've been here ever since. So that's what got me to the rooms. You know, that's enough about that using. So I'm in the rooms, man. Now we're back to the steps. Okay. You know what, man? It's like I said, well, I remember mom, she says, yeah, you should go to these NA meetings to look good for court. I said, NA, 12-step fellowship. I said, don't they got like a 6-step fellowship or something? You know? And I said 12 sounded like too much, or, you know. So the steps, man, and I didn't understand how they all blend together, it's like in my life, the steps just flow through me. Like the principles, they just work in such beautiful harmony. That's why it's a 12-step fellowship. I don't stop at 3. Real talk. I don't stop at 3. You know, it's like the 3rd step means nothing without a 4th step and a 5th step and a 6th step, man. And continuing on with these steps, because when I start off in the 1st step and I'm surrendering that I'm powerless over my addiction, that once I pick up, man, I'm out of control. Jails, institutions, or deaths, not in that order. You know, and I surrender. You know, I admit, you know, it was hard for me to admit that I was an addict when I was new. I didn't want that stigma of being an addict, because I didn't know that this disease from all walks of life, people, addicts, you know, I just thought of like, you know, some, you know, shout out junkie, you know, but I said I couldn't identify, but I've identified in Narcotics Anonymous. That's what's so good about this whole youth movement that's happened in Southern California and San Diego. It's like recovery is available, man. You could get clean young, you could get clean old. You know, the disease doesn't discriminate, and neither do we. So I'm in this 1st step, man, and I'm with the sponsor surrendering that I'm powerless over my addiction, and that my life was unmanageable, because it was real unmanageable new, man. I thought I was doomed, man. I'm a felon now. You know, I had to plead to a felony charge. I grew up working on fishing boats. I wanted to be a captain. I said, I'm a felon. I ain't gonna be nothing. I'm still an addict. You know, I'm just gonna be nothing. You know, that low self-esteem that I grew up with, man. Low self-esteem. And you know what? Okay, so I'm in the surrender. You know, I admit that, you know, my life has become unmanageable. And then in the 2nd step, I come to believe that a power greater than myself and my disease could restore me to sanity. That the spiritual principle of hope comes into play, that there is some hope. And maybe a mustard seed, but it starts there. It just didn't come in this blinding epiphany, right? So I started building on this hope, and then, you know, in the 3rd step, I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. My sponsor didn't. My PO didn't. My mom didn't. My dad didn't. You know, nobody did but me. I made a decision in my heart to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand Him. And you know what? If you're new here or new around here, you know, this is God of your own understanding, a higher power of your understanding. We don't push God on nobody. You know, it's just recommended that you find a power that's greater than yourself, loving and caring. You know what I mean? We ain't pushing nothing here. We ain't pushing nothing. We ain't got nothing to hide. So, you know, I come to believe in this power greater than myself. You know, I tried the religion thing. It didn't work for me. If it works for you, it works for you. It just didn't work. But I took a religious studies class at college, and I kind of like was like reading in all these different religions, and it just like I was like just kind of like a buffet. Like we got to kind of pick and choose, and you know what I mean. And I kind of like build my own concept of God from, you know, what I like. I take what I like. It's like somebody said, like eating chicken bones, eat the meat, leave the bones. You know. I don't know where I got that from. Somebody in LA probably. Okay, so I make a decision. So in the 3rd step, right, it says like I was saying earlier, it means nothing if I don't continue on to the 4th step. And man, people get the 4th step twisted up in here. The 4th and the 5th step is the most beautiful point in my recovery that I can talk about. That's where the freedom came. You know, when I get scared on this inventory, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be this bad person. And it's like a good inventory is on your defects and your assets. What I've done wrong, you know, what I've done, so I could kind of like, okay, look at it like this. I got like an inventory, right? Like a business, an attic. It's all these boxes and stuff over there. I kind of like this time through the steps. I'm doing the columns, right? 4-step, working step 4 in Narcotics Anonymous. I'm doing that this time. So it's like I'm kind of like organizing everything, labeling it. So in the 6th step, I'll get into that. I could get into the character defects and, you know, all that type of stuff. But I got to see it because my perception is really messed up when I was new, especially, man. Because, you know, I'm a volunteer victim. You know, I was like, I'm a victim. And actually looking at in the 4th step, in the 4th and 5th step, I got to see my part. Not your part, not my mom's, you know, not none of anybody else's part, but my own. I own it, you know. It's like God, when I'm admitting to God in the 5th step, God already knows. I admit it to my sponsor, so in my recovery, I start getting karaoke, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that was good, and you know, this and that, and he says, you know, well, that's not what you shared in your 5th step, you know, and somebody could know me on an intimate level, because I never had any real friends out there using. I had those masks on, man. So I'm doing that, and okay, you know, my grandma died like 2 weeks ago, right? And I had resentments against my grandmother like crazy. 92-year-old woman, right? And the resentment was, she would say, Nikki, I can't do her. I'm not good at making voices, but she says, you got a girlfriend. Yeah, this starts when I'm like 12 years old, man. I said, no, Grandma, I ain't I'm 22 now. No, Grandma, I'm not. And I take it like she's like attacking me because it hurts, man. The family, I don't. You think I want? You know, it's like, you know, I get this, and I have this resentment, man. And I was like, oh man. And I tell my sponsor and said, and like playing the parts, and I said, yeah. I said, what did it said? How am I gonna break this down? It's like he helped me look beyond my bullshit of being self-centered and taking it as a personal attack that somebody was trying to care for me and try to start a conversation with me, and she didn't know that she was really attacking me, you know, and I got to look beyond my stuff and try to cultivate some compassion for this woman that was my family that's trying to take care of my life, right? I got to look beyond that, and I got to see that. I said, oh yeah, that kind of does make sense, you know. And so I'm working on this, man, and I got to see how I carry that resentment, and I put up these walls, man, and I was able to you know, totally make peace, and we did a lot of other work in that area, you know what I mean? I did a lot of other work, but I got to see that, and I got to go there. This is like I'm my 2nd time through the steps right now. I'm working through this, right? That was like maybe 4 weeks ago. She died a week before she died. I'm doing this. We're breaking it down. I didn't know she was gonna die. You never know. So I'm doing this, and then I get a call. Hey, if you want to see your grandmother before she passes, come and see her. You know, a week prior, you know, I'm in recovery. I'm walking around with the book, and I'm banging spiritual principles, and you know, doing all this type of stuff. And I hate my grandmother. You know, I wouldn't even care if she died. You know, but I cultivated some love and compassion, man, and I went up there and I got to see her before she passed, and it's really beautiful, man, that I didn't have any love. I had love and compassion for my grandmother, and I didn't have hatred and resentment. I was able to make peace before she went, man. That's beautiful, man. That's priceless. Ain't nothing besides Narcotics Anonymous and a loving God that could do that for me. So like that's just like one of many examples on like the 4th step of all the stuff where I'm a victim and the world's against me, and you know, stuff like that, right? So like in the 6th step, in the 6th step, man, so I start to see this pattern of behaviors of complete total self-centeredness, the root of our disease, and you know, I get to work on my defects of like, you know, lying. It's like, I'll put it like this: my defects when I was out there using were my assets, and in recovery they're my defects, because when I was using, I had to lie. I had to tell you, yeah, your shit's legit. You know what I mean? Or like, I had to, you know, all the little lies we had to tell to get by. Lying, being a tough guy, you know, having, you know, I can't think of all my defects. My sponsor had, seriously, pages of list of all these defects. I'm not kidding. Yeah, you guys know. He's like, I'm sharing my 4th and 5th step, and he's writing down, okay. I look over, he's got like this whole, okay, so basically, long story short, like all, you know, all the weird behaviors we did out there using, you know, they played a good part in keeping me alive out there, man. And so like, look at it like that. So like now I'm in recovery, and being a lying person doesn't do me no bit of good. That ain't applying the spiritual principle of honesty, right? So I get to look at that, man. And the 6 steps all about willingness. And there's one thing that's working my recovery, and if you're new, when I work a 4-step, I work it like I ain't sharing a 5th step. When I work a 6-step, I work it like I don't have to ask God to remove my shortcomings in the 7th step. When I work an 8th step, when I'm working making my 8th step, I'm working that like I ain't got to go out there and make those amends, right? So that works for me. That really does. That works, man. If you're having trouble, try that. Or if you're not having trouble, it works real good because you get focused in this and not have to worry about none of that other stuff. So I become willing in the 6th step to have God remove my shortcomings. And, by this time I'm getting all these principles, man, and I have a principle of humility comes in the 7th step where I really get humble with God and say, man, I want to live up to what I could be. Can you please help me with these defects, that my shortcomings that are keeping me short of being the best person I could be? And I get humble with God, and he works on them, and they don't go nowhere. We got to put low jacks on them because sometimes they come up beeping and going crazy, man. But if I stay on my inventory, they don't kind of blindside me like that. So I get humble with God in the 7th step, man. And then back to the 8th step. Man, let me take a breath. Okay, so like on the 8th step, I go back to my 4th step, get all these amends that I have to become willing once again to become willing, the spiritual principle of willingness once again. And then in the 9th step, I follow through with my amends. And it's important on the 5th step that I do it legitimately. So when I'm making my amends, I'm not just saying sorry, because when I was using, I said I'm sorry 1,000,000 times to these people, and it means nothing. My credibility is nothing. And the 9th step, clean time speaks for itself a lot of times, because they're saying, oh, well, they don't know. It's like, I had a couple years, and that's still early recovery I'm in right now. It's still real early. I'm still fresh, man. I'm right out of Hell's Gates. So some amends I want to talk about, man. I got to make amends to the football coach when I went when I had to go to juvenile hall, in the middle of football season, varsity year, playoffs. We're in the playoffs, football, and and boom, I get popped, man. It's the night that we're getting the varsity letters, man. And I'm eating chicken surprise. They're having the banquet and all that type of stuff. And I had to get down to the exact nature of my wrongs on how I lied to my coach, how I like disgraced the organization, and I put a bad tarnish, and I was, not being a teammate. That's what I was making my amends. Not sorry I went to this and that, and I wasn't able to play, and I was, doing all that stuff. That's what it was about, making amends. I worked on them fishing boats, man. I used and I lied, and I got in a lot of trouble, and I did a lot of bad stuff down there, and I was able to go down, and there's some people I didn't want to make amends to still, and I'm making amends with one captain on the Fisherman 3, and it's all cool, okay, and I'm walking down the dock, and then the captain I didn't want to make amends to comes strolling down the dock, and I said, hey, Tim, how's it going? He says, you want to speak with me? I said, sure, yeah, let's go up top. And, I made the amends, and I was just like, man, talk about pink clouds, man. I was just like, the freedom, man, of doing this stuff. I was just like doing so good, man, so good. And it was just so beautiful. It's this process, man. I wouldn't have got that if I would have stopped at the 3rd step. I would have never experienced any of this stuff if I would have stopped. So I make these amends, and same with the football coach, man. It was like, I went to one of them, and they had, I don't know if they're thinking they're doing an intervention because they heard I was like going to the school, and like I go in to make amends to one coach, and 2 other comes in, so I'm just like making my amends here and here and here. But I took the guidance. I had God with me through all of this, man. It's like I'm never alone. I was coming up here, and I said, am I nervous, or am I excited, or am I in fear that I'm gonna be inadequate, or am I gonna practice some faith and know that God is going to help me carry a message? And I'm, asking God, can I be a channel? Can I, make this, can I just please carry a message, man? Can I be of service? How can I be of service today? So, I made a lot of amends, and a lot of living amends is staying clean. I sold a lot of dope, man, and I can't, make amends for all that, but I'm in recovery doing the right thing today. That's for society-wise. I'm doing a good, I'm just trying to be the best person I could be, a responsible, productive member of society. And man, so I'm doing that. It's a real good thing, man. I get a freedom from all that stuff where I thought, man, I'm a piece of garbage, I'm this and that, I'm an addict, dirty, rotten dope fiend, all this type of stuff. And I become to see that I'm like this, actually, in the 4th and the 5th step, I got to see that I wasn't as bad as I thought I was, and I wasn't as good as I thought I was. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see myself, like, this perception was all just distorted and messed up, man. I'm starting to see who I really am. So that was good. So now that I have all this freedom and all this wonderful stuff, man, we get into maintenance steps, boy. You know, my home group's the 11-step meeting, Monday night, San Diego, California, man. You guys got to come check us out. We're focused on 11-step. I was telling Mark we don't have many hour-and-a-half meetings, but I didn't even think about it. My home group's an hour-and-a-half, man. We do a 10 minutes of silent prayer, meditation to candlelight at the end of the meeting. And we're focused on God. You know, it's a real good, serious, strong atmosphere of recovery. We're talking about higher power, God, you know, the 11th step, a lot of maintenance steps going around. It's like, if I want to keep what I have, man, I have to give it away, and I have to be vigilant and watch what I'm doing. Watch when those character defects come out at me. I got to be watching my behaviors so I don't get caught up in a fetal position, crying to the sponsor, you know, this and that. You know, I got to be watching, man. I got to be watching over my stuff, because I keep what I have only with vigilance in the readings. You know, I want what I have. I don't want to lose this, man. So I'm always, you know, 10-step, you know, just, I don't really break down the living the program every day, you know, but I stay conscious of what I'm doing throughout my day. It's not when I'm wrong, I promptly admit and tell you, well, I'm sorry once again. I make a note of that in my heart and be conscious next time I'm doing that behavior that I need to stop now. Or I need to call somebody. I need to do something different. It's like making amends means nothing if I repeat the behavior. That's why it's real important to get some guidance through all this. So I'm watching that in the 10-step, and it's like I'm cleaning house, and I'm like, it's like if this was a roadway, it's like look at like ground zero. It's all this destruction. I come in the first step and I start clearing all this rubble in the 10-step, and I got like this like clear platform, this foundation, right, and it's strong. That's when I hook up with God, and it's like, so I'm now ready to have God working in my life, this higher power that I've come to learn and understand throughout my experience. You know, and I want to say, you know, I'm praying only for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry that out. You know, I ain't praying I want a new car, although I do. You know, I want, you know, this and that and all this material stuff. I ask God, since you spared me from active addiction and a life in the penitentiary and an early death, what can I do for you? You know, it's not all about me. What can I do? How could I be a service to NA, the fellowship that saved my life? You know, I ain't be stealing up in here, man. I'm giving back. What can I do? How, you know, and I'm staying in tune, and I'm praying and I'm meditating every day, man. You know, and meditation takes practice. It's not like I sit down and meditate and I do noting. It's like when I have a thought arise, I note. I am thinking. You know, like a thought comes up, I just let it die a natural death, man. It takes a lot of practice, and when you get to your 11th step, be open-minded. It's real important, because I never thought growing up I'd be meditating and, you know, doing all this type of stuff, man. I get to grow, and I'm open-minded. I'm like I said, I'm looking at all these religions and picking and choosing what I want from God and all this type of stuff. So you know what? It's real important for me in the 11th step to stay tuned in with God. You know, that's my higher power, man. That's where I get the power. I get, like when it says, in the power to carry that out. The power is spiritual principles that I've been talking about. When I have fear coming up here, can I get that faith to walk through? You know, what do they say? Courage is not the absence of fear. It's like walking through it. You know, that's it. This is spiritual principles, man. These principles are greater than disease, you know? So I'm really hip with that 11th step. Me and the sport group, man, we rock it all day, you know, 10, 11, 12. The 12th step, having such a wonderful life, man. I'm able to practice these principles in all my affairs. And actually, hang on, wait a minute. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Spiritual awakening doesn't happen in the 12th step, y'all. It starts with the first step, and it kind of grows, and I awaken to this whole new spiritual way of life, living through spiritual principles and being a better person, man. That's my spiritual awakening. When I'm running the other day, I'm running San Diego, man, it's beautiful. I see the ocean. I'm running down by USD, and it's just like I see these red flowers, and the blades of grass are all like unique and beautiful in their own sense and stuff, man. And I'd see, okay, that's a tree, that's the grass, it's green, that's red, and I'm able to see detail and be able to see God in everything, in all my surroundings, man. Because I believe God is just, I believe, like in the like in all this stuff about like the universe, man, and it's crazy. I could talk like for an hour on God and all my 11th step and seeing God and all this type, you know what I mean? But it's just beautiful having the spiritual awakening. As a result of working these steps, not stopping at the 3rd step, man. That's like a pet peeve if you haven't noticed. If hearing all this scene, I have a lot of people in recovery. I was stuck on the 4th step. I'm the 3rd step wonder. It's like keep working, keep coming back and doing this stuff, man. Because it's like that's just like the starting point, man. You jump into that 4th and the 5th step, and man, that's where the freedom comes. I ain't gonna sell my. It's like, why show up to work and not get paid? You know what I mean? It's like I'm here in a 12-step fellowship. I work all 12, man. I mean, I sound like I'm preaching, but I live it. It's like looking at like where am I righteous? Where's that fine line where I go from being righteous to self-righteousness? From having like just a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a fine line like that, like cross the line from my like character defects and the spiritual principle. Where is that line, man? I gotta look into it. So having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to practice these principles in all of our affairs. That's what I'm saying, talk about earlier. When nobody's looking, what am I doing? How am I living? How am I living this stuff in all my affairs? And I come up short sometimes, but I don't beat myself up. I keep it moving, and I just try this and carry the message, to Daniel, man. You know what? Welcome home, man. You ain't never got to use again, no matter what. And that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Any addict. Any is all-inclusive. Any young addict, old addict, fat addict, skinny addict, whatever type of addict you want to be, however you want to dissect yourself and put yourself in a box. Any addict could stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. And I found that true. Stop using. That's physicals. Put down the dope. Man, stop using. Lose the desire. That's the obsession, the compulsion to use that we talk about in the 1st step. Mental. And find a new way to live is spiritual awakening. That's how it works, man. It's beautiful. I love it, man. I'm passionate. I love my recovery, man. We're on fire with this thing down in San Diego right now, boy. Man, we're just doing it up. NAYC's in the house. And, you know what I mean? We get to have, I like to, I started off a little dry, but, man, we got some flavor in recovery, man. We ain't got to be Mark was flowing last night down in San Diego, man. He was just whoosh, flowing, man. Just beautiful, man. Just like, it was good, man. It's like it's like my recovery just doesn't exist in meetings. This is not just, what you see here is just a small part of my recovery. It's, like I said, out there in life. Going to Spain. I'm going to Barcelona, Spain this summer. World Convention of Narcotics Anonymous 33, Barcelona, Spain, baby. And, man, I went to San Antonio, Texas last year, man. I remember walking down them streets, walking to San Antonio with Kevin and my friend Royer. Man, we're going to this Mexican restaurant, man, in San Antonio, just meeting people from all over the world, man, and seeing people hugging from all over the world. That's what I'm talking about, this unity. It's like this Narcotics Anonymous is on it's everywhere, man. It's in Africa. It's in South America. We're in North America. Narcotics Anonymous started here. It started here. Southern California. It's the Mecca right here. We're in Europe. We're in Africa, Asia, Australia. Everywhere, man. People are doing the same thing, and it's so simple. Man, I love it, man. And so I'm going to Spain. We're meeting up with all the people. I just look forward to meeting people like from all over the world, man. Get to meet new people, and I've heard members share from all over the world, and it's the same disease and the same recovery process, the same steps, man. I hear them, man. They get, when we get honest and sharing what's that pain, you could feel the pain in their voice. And I've been through the same stuff. I'm reading this new 6th edition, man. They're talking about like the first woman who got clean in Iran, and like talking about like the first woman who got clean in Japan, and I'm crying. And I could identify, man. And I'm like, wow, who would have thought? You know what I mean? I could identify with that pain up in there, man. And I'm reading all these stories because it's a worldwide fellowship, man. And how am I doing on time?
You go for another 5.
Okay, so the worldwide thing. Then after that, I'm doing like tour guide. I'm like not the tour guide. I'm like the travel agent in San Diego for everybody to Spain. I'm like, okay, you want to get on this airline and do this, and we're doing the NA cruise. I'm Italian, man. I'm going to Italy, man. I'm going to Italy. Ooh, I'm gonna get down there and I'm gonna kiss the ground when I get onto shore, and I'm just gonna be all just like, oh man, I'm going to Italy. That's lost dreams awaken, new possibilities arise. I'll tell you what, I'm past the block, man. The block was that's how far I went, man. I go San Diego, Tijuana, up to maybe Scripps Ranch was about as far. That was my world. Now I have the world is mine, Scarface. Isn't that what he said? But in a good way. I'm the king. Somebody says something like that. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Lost dreams awaken, new possibilities arise. It's like, who would have thought, man? As a little kid, I always want to go to Italy. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna stay clean. I ain't gonna drink no wine. I have some good olive oil. I'll tell you that much, man. I'll be olive oil. I got some bread, man. Have some cannolis. So I'm going to Italy, man. That's like my parents have never left. They don't like to travel, and it's like I want to go see every continent, man. It's like I want to go to every continent. So I'm going to Europe. I want to go to Asia next year. You know what? A lot of stuff I haven't even shared about, all this material stuff that I had in my life, because I'm more concerned about the spiritual stuff, man. But it's like I went from slanging dope out of my parents' back window to being a homeowner. I went from slanging dope to having my own business. You know what I mean? That's that's some stuff, man. We get to move beyond that, man. And I have my book here. I have all this stuff I wanted to read, but it's like there's I'm gonna end with something some real beautiful stuff out of 11 Step, man. But welcome to everybody. I'm saying welcome. I'm from down the road, but it's like this is my home, man. I'm in with family. You know how we do, man. I'm in with the family, and it's just great, man. It's just great, man. Narcotics Anonymous rocks, man. We're saying, Mark, we ain't no Milli Vanilli speakers up in here, man. We get to have some flavor. We get to have fun. We have fun in recovery, man, doing conventions. We're going to Spain, we're going to San Jose, Northern California in April. It's coming up. Oh, I get off probation April 8th, and then the next day I'm flying up to San Jose for the convention. And last year at the Northern Cal convention, I turned 21 years old and I didn't have to pick up. We'll talk about a reservation in the first step. Say, when I turned 21, man, it's on and cracking. And I was up there with Kevin, man. We're eating some nice steakhouse, and man, it's just great, man. We had a good old time up there, man. We going to conventions all over the place, having fun. We hanging out, we kicking tight. We have real meaningful relationships, and man, I just love it, man. I love NA. So I'm gonna close with this. Since I did bring the double stack up here, Kevin, I'm gonna do this again. Take a picture. Okay. So back to the 11 Step, man. This is so beautiful because this is so true in my life. And the first time I heard this, man, I broke down and cried, man. Because it's so much, like I talked about earlier, always looking for someone outside to make me feel whole on the inside, man. It says, we see that regardless of the presence or absence of material success in our lives, we could be content. We can be happy and fulfilled with or without money. We're all, we're going through some hard times right now. It's just the whole economy. I was going to say it, but it's it says we could be content with or without money.
What page you on?
We're in It Works How and Why. Okay, yeah, we got the double stacks out. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. It Works How and Why. Page 112, 11 Step. Okay, we're gonna start it from the top. We see that regardless of the presence or absence of material success in our lives, we can be content. We can be happy and fulfilled with or without money, with or without a partner. That's the stuff that was killing me, man. I wanted to read this all the way through, but man, I was always thinking, man, I can't be happy because I won't be happy till I have a girlfriend. I won't be whole until this. I won't be whole until I have the bank account reads this. I keep on putting these limitations, man, and when I drop those walls and I live this, I get to totally be filled up. My heart becomes full, and I get to feel all that freedom. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but that's the truth, man. That's the hit. That's the hit right there, man. It's like, it's like that freedom, man. That freedom that Whistler without money and Whistler without a relationship, that it jacked me up in recovery, man. I was like, just hating myself, man. I'm a failure, man. Man, screw this, man. Just okay. All right, I'm gonna get back to it, but I've lived this, and this is true, man. And if you want what I have, work the steps, man. But no, just kidding. I'm crazy, but okay. So Whistler without a partner, Whistler without the approval of others. It's always looking for somebody to co-sign my stuff and say, "Oh, attaboy, Nicky," you know. Whistler without the approval of others. We've begun to see that God's will for us is the ability to live with dignity, to love ourselves and others, to laugh, and to find great joy and beauty in our surroundings. Our most heartfelt longings and dreams for our lives are coming true. These priceless gifts are no longer beyond our reach. They are, in fact, the very essence of God's will for us. My name's Nick. I'm an addict, represent SD.